This is a very, very important subject here in the province of New Brunswick at a time when we're what I would consider to be almost at the edge of chaos in terms of our economy. And we have a lot of work to do to get things turned around. And for my part, representing the manufacturers and exporters in New Brunswick, I want to share some insights with you that, quite frankly, I hope make you really uncomfortable, which is kind of part of my objective today. Sometimes it's important when you're on the edge of chaos to be uncomfortable. When you're on the edge of chaos and you're uncomfortable, that's when innovation happens. That's when people make decisions to actually move things forward. That's when people get really creative. That's when people invest. That's when people take chances. That's when people evaluate risk. And that's when people proceed. So I'm going to walk through a couple things. As Nick said, the Canadian Manufacturers and Exporters is the largest trade and industry association in the country. We have over 140 years of history within the country representing employers all across this great nation. In New Brunswick, I focus on three things: advocacy, investment at home, and trade and business development. And today I'm going to talk to you a little bit of all three, but I really want to focus on the trade and business development side because that's where I believe New Brunswick has a real opportunity to take advantage of growing global markets. For any of you that are Twitterers, I'd like to encourage you to use these hashtags today. And the first one I'll draw your attention to is one that Premier Gallant and Minister Doucette and a number of other folks are talking about right now, and this is really important. This is something we need to bring back in New Brunswick. It's about being New Brunswick proud. So hashtag NB proud, hashtag NB. We need to broaden the conversation from just here in Fredericton today to the whole province. So tweet it out, NB Exports. The last one I want to draw your attention to one is called Hope is Restored. And this is a new one, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that today. In terms of handles, you certainly follow people like Morgan and Krista and others at Fredericton Chamber, at Rotary. My handle, at Joel H. Richardson, and our CME is at CME_MEC. In 1850, our land mass, the size of New Brunswick, was 73,440 square kilometers. Today, it's 73,440 square kilometers. In 1850, our New Brunswick province was over 95% forested. Today, it's over 80% forested. Our total population in 1850 was 200,000 people. Today, it's 752,000 people. Our exports in 1850 were timber, ships, and fish for the most part. Today, it's timber, fish, energy, minerals, paper, metalworks, machinery, food, IT, engineering, etc. After Confederation, the workforce. In 1850, 90% of our workforce was goods producing and only 10% service producing. Today, 22% of our population produces goods and 78% is working in the service industry. After Confederation in 1867, New Brunswick workers left declining ports and timber towns to find employment in the US. New Brunswick workers continue to leave to find work in Western Canada. Our provincial motto in 1850 was Spem Reduxit. Forgive me if I'm not pronouncing it exactly, I'm not a Latin expert. But it means something along the lines of hope was restored. Today, our provincial motto is hope was restored. It hasn't changed. New Brunswick today, unemployment is soaring at over 20% in some regions. We have over 40,000 people in this province with no job. Homes sold in this province are now down 6.6%. In Fredericton, 8.5% this year over last year. These are September numbers. In northern New Brunswick, the number of homes sold is down 24.4%. The home value in Fredericton is down 8.2% this year over last year. Home listings are at historic highs. The number of homes on the market today is up 10% from where it was last year. Housing construction starts are the lowest they've been in 20 years, since 1995, below 1995 levels. Manufacturing output is 10% below where it was in 2004. Unemployment in manufacturing is 24% lower, and the number of manufacturing facilities is down by 30%. And this is common right across Atlantic Canada, not just in New Brunswick. Our overall export sales were down over 10% last year. The average age of New Brunswickers is now age 44, from 24 in 1973. I read in the paper today that we now have the highest number of people, seniors over the age of 65 in the entire country, at over 19%. It's over 100 and I believe 40 or so thousand people that are over age 65 that need things from us and need health care and need to be looked after. Our tourism industry, including accommodations, food and beverage, has flatlined, showing virtually no growth for the last number of years. And we all know that provincial government revenues, expenditures, are far outpacing revenue. In January of 2007, in the last 13 years, the best unemployment rate we've been able to achieve was 7%. It's now about 10%. It's gone down a little bit last month. I want to talk to you about the relationship between jobs in this province and manufactured goods. And there's something really interesting happening in New Brunswick. I would never profess to be an economist, although my boss is, our CEO. But I want you to look at this. And I actually have never had anybody talk to me about this in any conversation I've ever had. This is really interesting. Our manufactured exports, the red line, what we're actually producing in 1992, the value of those exports was up around kind of the, you'll see the 2000 line there, right? This is in millions, okay? The number of people working, making those goods, was way up in the 35,000 line, okay? We had way more people making way less product, which you can understand, things have changed. The advent of technology, higher productivity, changes around the world. When the dollar was really strong, down around this time frame, you can see where our exports went. And labor kind of matched out, almost peaked out in the province over the last 13 years. But this is what I want to talk about. The point at which our labor and our manufactured goods crossed. All of a sudden, the amount of goods that we're outputting now in New Brunswick is far outstripping the amount of labor that we have available and that is actually employed within the industry. Since May of this year, we've lost 2,200 jobs in manufacturing. Can anybody tell me what happened in 2008? Shout it out. Economic crisis. What did companies do after the economic crisis? What did governments do? Everybody pulled back. Investments went down. Unemployment went up. Everybody took a second look and a step back and said, wait a second. There's better ways to do this. We can actually make this, whatever it is we're making, more efficiently. We can employ better technology, and we don't need as many people to do it. What you're going to see, if I had to guess, is a complete opposite line of what happened from the 90s and the early 80s all the way through the 90s. We are going to see this blue line of employment and manufacturing, not just here, but around the world. This is going to continue to drop. Our output, on the other hand, should go the complete opposite direction in terms of value of goods. The reason I wanted to share this with you today is because New Brunswick is not keeping up with the rest of the world. We need greater investments in innovation, we need new product development, we need new ideas, and we need to put them on the table. In the Premier's first State of the Province address, he said this. He said the first two lines. I'd like to take that one step further with you today. Companies don't create jobs. Demand for products creates jobs. What we need to do in New Brunswick, we need to create more demand for everything that we make, whether it's a good or a service. And we need to go to world markets to do it. Can anybody tell me what this is? If you know, shout out. Big group of people hanging out somewhere in China. What are they doing?
Buying an iPhone.
What?
Buying an iPhone.
Buying an iPhone. That was iPad Day in China. This is iPhone Day in Vancouver. Apple has become the #1 recognized brand in the world. The #4 recognized brand in the world is IBM. How many people have an IBM cell phone? An IBM tablet? On Saturday, a good friend of mine who's a senior person at IBM was in town in Fredericton. I dropped her off out at Kingswood. She spoke to a group of 150 high school students. She talked to them about things and technology and how it's changing. After her session, she went to the back of the room and there was a little girl sitting at the table quietly with her notepad, taking notes. And Kim sat down and talked to her and said, do you have any questions for me or whatever? And she said, yeah, I do. She said, what's IBM? What's IBM? IBM is one of the most successful multinational companies in the world. And somebody in New Brunswick in high school doesn't know what IBM is. But if you ask them about Apple, you can almost guarantee they know what Apple is. We need to create more demand for what we make. We make great things in New Brunswick. We need to connect our sellers with buyers in ways we've never thought of. We need to build strong, lasting relationships all around the world. We need to think and act differently about how we're going to do that. I'm not talking about jumping on a plane and going and walking a trade show floor, picking up a few business cards and saying, great, these are leads, let's throw them in the system, woohoo. No. We need to penetrate markets, we need to find friends, we need to talk to alumni, we need to get out there and hit the street. We need to do these three things with everything we sell out of New Brunswick, and this isn't me saying this. Donald Cooper, the owner of Cooper Sporting Goods, this is his three things, and I love it. You got to satisfy three needs with our buyers of New Brunswick products. We need to help them feel safe, we need to help them feel special, and we need to help them save time and money. I think they're feeling pretty special right now and they're only buying an iPhone. Apple has done an amazing job of creating an experience around buying a little piece of overpriced technology. It's unbelievable. We need to develop an export mindset in New Brunswick. We got to stop just thinking about, let's just support entrepreneurs, do a little business here at home. No. What we need to do is we need to support entrepreneurs that will take things globally. Get them out of the province. We're too small to be selling stuff to one another. Start here at home and get it out. It's the only way you're going to grow your product. It's the only way we're going to create jobs here. Every $1 million in export sales creates and sustains up to 6 full-time jobs in this province, in the supply chain. Who can tell me how to export a haircut? Who wants to take a stab at exporting a haircut? Feel free to talk at your table for a second. Throw some ideas around. We can crowdsource this. Okay, time's up. We're on the edge of chaos. We need to think, act quickly. How do we export a haircut? Somebody. Franchise. Sell scissors. Okay. Anyone? Manufacture shampoo. What was that? Grow sheep. Give them the haircut. We're outside the box now, people. Thank you, Joe. There's no one answer to this. We need to create an export mindset in New Brunswick. We need everybody to be thinking about what can we do here at home that we can sell somewhere else. Whether it's creating a franchise and you export that intelligence. We export intelligence all the time from Fredericton. There's engineers jumping on planes at Joanne's airport all the time. That's exporting. We export IT people constantly out of here. That's exporting. Developing a franchise model here in Fredericton, like Rivers did with Relish, and selling his franchise around the world creates jobs here at home. Let's not be restricted by traditional policy in the province around what should and shouldn't be supported. Keep an open mind to what will actually get feet on the ground here and bring people home. Where do we export a haircut? Wherever there's hair. Okay? How about this as an idea? There's a lady in Moncton that actually makes wigs from real hair. She exports them to people that don't have hair all around the world. We export them wherever there's need. In the future, even the smallest business will be multinational, as HSBC says. Even the lemonade stand on the corner, down at the corner of Goodine and Mavis Court in my neighborhood, will be multinational. If we're not thinking about being multinational, then we should get out of the business, because that's where it's going. Here's why. How many people here know how many free trade agreements we have with countries around the world? Raise your hand if you can tell me right now a number, how many free trade agreements we have. 22? Okay, the point is, there's no one in this room that actually knows. And we're in a business audience. We have free trade agreements in New Brunswick via Canada, Korea, Canada, Honduras, Canada, Panama, Canada, Jordan, Canada, Colombia, Canada, Peru, European Free Trade Association, Canada, Costa Rica, Canada, Chile, Canada, Israel. Obviously, you know about NAFTA. Canada-US Free Trade Agreement. Here's what's going on right now. Canada, Caribbean community, 15 different countries in the Caribbean right now are under negotiations and have been for a while that will potentially be full partners. And New Brunswick potentially has the opportunity to sell more of what we do from the Port of St. John, from the Moncton Airport, from the Fredericton Airport. Central American 4, there's 4 countries, full partners: Brazil, Venezuela, Argentina, I believe, Dominican Republic, India, Israel, Japan, Morocco, Singapore, Ukraine. and more stuff coming up for modernizing our deal with Costa Rica. Plus, we have Canada-Turkey. We have exploration discussions going on right now between Thailand. We have 6 South American countries under negotiation right now for exploratory trade. There's major trade agreements are being negotiated. Obviously, you're aware of all the media buzz before the election around TPP, which would happen to open New Brunswick up to 40% of the world's market, 400 million people. That's why that's important to New Brunswick. CETA is one of the world's largest economies in all the countries within CETA. It's incredibly important for New Brunswick to play in that space. We've got folks here today from Midland in Moncton who drove down for this. They've put a ton of effort into building an air cargo hub around the Moncton airport in preparation for this. They're shipping right now twice a week seafood and lobster product from New Brunswick in Atlantic Canada, twice a week out of New Brunswick to Brussels. And from what I understand, it's with a 0 mortality rate. We can get a lobster from New Brunswick to China in Shanghai and have it on a plate within 30 hours. That's unbelievable. The logistics of the world today, through these trade agreements, give us the opportunity, but we don't know about them. At least, not enough of us know about them. We've got to do more to take advantage of all this work that's being done on our behalf. If you're in business today and you want to sell around the world, take the responsibility to figure out where you play in these trade agreements. What do you need to do, and do those markets have a fit for you? Is there something that you should be shipping? The return on investment for helping our companies realize increased export sales will create new direct and indirect jobs. It will generate tax and royalty revenue for the province of New Brunswick to help cover some very important things that are skyrocketing because of our aging population. Healthcare, education, and social services, and most importantly, it will help families. St. John now, you probably saw the news a couple weeks ago, has higher poverty rates than Toronto in child poverty. Unacceptable. We got to deal with that. Canada happens to be one of the most welcoming economies in the world. This is a map that shows the Canadian attitude towards welcoming foreign visitors. The darker the blue you get, the more welcoming you are. New Brunswick is part of that, obviously. We should take that opportunity as the most welcoming country in the world to use that to build some new relationships through the trade agreements. Unfortunately, there's some things going against us. This is right out of Encyclopedia Britannica. It broke my heart when I read this. While New Brunswick has contributed significantly to the national life of Canada, it is one of the smaller provinces and has always occupied a lesser role in the national economy. Boo-hoo. That's sad. But it's true. For now. It wasn't true way back when. This place was bustling. There were people working. There was very few people on unemployment. There were services. There was health care. Our brand in New Brunswick has diminished to the point, I would argue, we have become a will-not province. Some people don't want to hear it. Some people don't want to say it. But I'm a little unconventional, and I'm sick and tired of hearing it. We've gone from a have province to a have-not province, where we accept 40% of our entire provincial budget is transfer payments. I would argue we're now a will-not province. We can't do that. We won't do this. Let's put a moratorium on that, even though it'll create 4,400 jobs and $1.6 billion in GDP. We got to turn that around, people. We need to manufacture our future. We need to make some changes. Let's get moving. Let's aim higher. Nationally, the Canadian Manufacturers and Exporters has set a target. We want to double our manufacturing and exporting output by 2030, and we think we can do it. We think we can get the private sector investment, and we think we can leverage trade agreements as much as possible to get our goods going and create jobs back here at home. We need to invest in innovation and new product development. Do you think people out there said before the Apple came along and the iPad, if I only had an Apple iPad, if I only had an iPhone before it was invented? People don't know what they want. We need to develop products people don't know they need yet. That's what we need to put out there in the world. That's why investing in innovation, new product development, is critical to New Brunswick's survival. We need to develop skills and careers in manufacturing, technology, trades for youth. There's not even a trade school in Fredericton. I mean, we got people getting, I picked somebody up at the airport, well, my friend Kim from IBM, with my wife on Saturday morning, and there were people, I kind of thought most people from out west were already home. There were still people flying, coming off the plane. I knew they were coming from out west. They had work boots on and hats and their gear, and their wife and their kids were there to greet them. We need to do more to support those folks. We need more work. We need more trades. We need to approve and begin major capital projects in this province. We've got a premier who is committed on the infrastructure side in the government. We now have a prime minister who's committed on infrastructure. The stars have lined up, and I'm not talking about the politics. I really could care less. The stars have lined up for us to support them. The business community needs to say, what do we need to do to make this happen? What do we need to do to get these projects done? What we need to do is educate, research, and get it done. Get the approval process moving. Stop messing around with the politics of major projects that are keeping people from earning a paycheck. We need to explore alternative energy solutions, like natural gas, which happens to be one of the cleanest burning fuels in the world. And if a company like Toyota says that by 2050, we'll no longer have a car on the road that's burning fossil fuel, folks, New Brunswick needs to get with it. Let's invest in some opportunities. Let's do some R&D. Let's start the wheels moving on the renewable side. If we don't, we're going to get left in the dust, but there's manufacturing opportunities available for that technology. And we have engineers available. We have technical people. We have tons of people up at RPC. We have the resources. We've got the brain trust. Let's put it to work. Let's ensure our business climate is globally competitive. You cannot play in a global market and access trade agreements when your companies are being hit with high corporate taxes, high energy rates, high labor costs, high. Level the playing field. Don't tax the entrepreneurs, the highest in the world, in this province. New Brunswick, without the new federal increase that the federal government is talking about, we are now the 4th highest income tax location in the world out of the OECD countries for high income earners. The entrepreneurs I talk to want to be successful. They want to hire people here. They want to create jobs. Why are we taxing them to move away? Level the playing field with the markets where we're selling and who we compete against. Don't pitch one entrepreneur against another just because they live across the border from one another. Level the playing field. Our return on investment goals are these. We need to become the most trade-friendly partner in the world. And I think we have the opportunity to do that. We are recognized as one of the most welcoming countries in the world. This region and this province is one of the most open, tolerant societies in the world. We can use that to our advantage. People, thankfully, like us. They will buy from us, but we need to get in front of them. We should become Canada's most prosperous province. That description I read to you from Encyclopedia Britannica needs to go. It needs to be rewritten. We need to rewrite it. We have an unemployment rate target of 6%. That's what we need to aim for. An unemployment rate target of 5%, most of the expert will tell you, is basically zero unemployment. Because obviously there are people in our society who just can't physically work. I get that. Let's set a target as a business community. Let's not wait for the federal government or the provincial government or whoever to say, we should be aiming at this, we should be aiming at that. Let's work with them and say, we will set a target here. How are we going to get there? For every $1 million in export sales, it creates 6 full-time jobs. If we double our manufacturing outputs, and science and technology and engineering and everything else contributes to that, we can get there. We can reach that target of 6%. We need to become the preferred location for people to invest, manufacture, export from, employ, and grow. Our provincial motto is Spem Reduxit. Hope was restored. We may want to think about how we tweak that a little bit. And again, I'm no Latin expert. We may want to think about hope is restored. I've outlined a little bit on how I think we can get there. My 2 cents. It takes a lot of 2 senses to add up to $1 to restore hope. My final question for you today is this. What deals are you closing today so you can sell more of what we make right here in New Brunswick? Thank you very much.